In the vast realm of storytelling, where imagination and technology merge, there emerges one prompt to rule them all. That's right, folks. You heard it. One prompt to rule them all. Welcome, my fellow storytellers, to AI Writers Connection. I'm your host, Mira Gold, here to unveil the magic of this single prompt. If billionaire romance serials speak to your heart, brace yourself for today's enchantment. But before we summon its power, lend me your aid. Press that like button, pledge your allegiance by subscribing, and invoke the bell. Ensure your notifications stand vigilant so no tale goes unheard. Now, let the saga unfold. So, storytellers, as you know, I really do love my JSON prompts. This one, I was playing around last night inside of ChatGPT 4, and I had a Word document open, and I kept thinking about all the different things that I needed for some of my stories on Radish and some of the other platforms for serialized bodies like Dreamy, eGlobal. There are so many different serialized platforms out there for people to kind of take a look at, find out if they're right for you and your story. But while I was out there kind of trying to figure out how I could tweak a synopsis prompt for a serialized platform to ensure that it would encompass the whole first season, as well as leave room for that cliffhanger ending of that first season to kind of catapult into season 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 and beyond. The idea began to form inside of my brain, and this JSON prompt is what I ended up coming up with last night. I'm sure it's going to continue to evolve since I just barely created it. It's in its early stages or infancy, as I kind of like to view an early prompt as. But because of what it was spitting out, I really wanted to share this with all of you. If you use it, let me know what it does for you. Now, today I'm actually going to use the template inside of ChatGPT 4 as well as ChatGPT 3.5. I'm going to use the same prompt in Claude, Sudowrite, and inside of Jasper. Now, I've kind of played around with all of them in my videos at any given time, with the exception of Jasper. So I thought that it would be really important to kind of bring Jasper onto the scene so that people could see what kind of material or information that you could actually prompt Jasper to give you on the fictionalized side. So let me go ahead and show you my prompt. I do state to write out the following story concept synopsis. One of the things that I found while I was using this prompt is that some of the different AIs, sometimes they would give me a synopsis in written form. Other times the AIs would actually thread the actual synopsis into a JSON prompt. So one of the things that I began to add, and you can do this too, if you start to notice that the AI is spitting out your concept in JSON form, then just add to your prompt to only generate it in a non-JSON format. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and let's go ahead and head over to a new ChatGPT. Let's go ahead and play with 3.5 first. Now, you all saw me copy the prompt just as it was. I am pasting that same prompt. Up at the top, you'll see where I'm stating to write out the following story concept synopsis. Please generate in a non-JSON format. And let's hit that go button and watch the magic unfold. And here we are. It gave me my title, Hearts of Gold, the series name or serial name, Golden Love Chronicles. The genre is romance, contemporary romance. Let's see what it does. It gave me, so this prompt actually gave me season 1 synopsis. I have the hook, which is Amelia, a struggling artist with dreams as vast as the city itself, unexpectedly crosses paths with Alexander Sterling, a reclusive tech magnate whose wealth matches his enigmatic reputation. Their worlds collide when Amelia's quirky art installation captures his attention. One of the things that I noticed here lately is something has changed with all the AIs. I tend to keep getting either the name Amelia, Ava, or Lily when I am running these prompts. And I tend to get either Ethan, Alexander, or some form of Alexander, Alex, Andrew, or Benjamin for some reason. Those names tend to come out pretty prevalent. So let's go ahead and take a look. We have a setting. The setting is New York. We have world building. It gives us some information about his empire, which is part of a cutting edge technology venture. So let's see, he likes to rub shoulders with elite and powerful. The tone or mood, the story strikes a balance between lighthearted moments and deeper emotional connection. We actually have a meet cute where she accidentally spills paint on Alexander's designer suit. We have a first plot point where she agrees to paint a mural for one of Alexander's charity projects. We have character arcs listed, where Amelia discovers her own strength and the power of vulnerability, while Alexander confronts his past to open up to love and human connection. We also have relationship dynamics showing up that shows their push and pull dynamic evolve into a roller coaster of emotions. We also have goals and motivations. Amelia seeks recognition and financial stability, whereas Alexander grapples with a desire for a genuine companionship, a romance that's beyond his wealth. He wants to be seen for who he is, not the money that he wields. Strengths and weaknesses. She's creative and resilient, but struggles with self-doubt, whereas Alexander is brilliant and focused, yet he's emotionally guarded because of past traumas. It also gives us backstory information. It gives us midpoint, pitch points. It gives us the third plot point. As I scroll down, I'm looking at how it also gives me the conflict resolution, the climax, the closing image. It also provides us with symbolism and motifs. It gives us subplots, foreshadowing, and red herrings. It gives me reoccurring elements, audience engagement. It also gives me a list of tropes, 10 of them to be exact, which includes enemies to lovers, billionaire with a heart of gold, artistic protagonist, slow burn romance, social class difference, hidden talents revealed, meet cute mishap, rich poor romantic dynamics, workaholic love interest, and redemption arc. So I like that. It gives me those because then I know what it is that I'm looking for. Now I can actually add more if I were to take this specific synopsis forward. I also have 10 different themes. Sacrifice for love, breaking social norms, balancing ambition with relationships, overcoming past traumas, pursuing dreams and aspirations. Let's see, the power of love, how it can transform people, the value of human connection, and resilience in the face of adversity. Now, because this is a serialized platform, one of the things that I wanted to ensure that I had were additional seasons so that at the end of season 1, I could actually take a little bit of season 2, this little blurb right here, and be able to roll it into my cliffhanger so that it kind of alludes to maybe something that's going to happen in season 2. Now, in all reality, before I finished season 1, I would actually go in and flesh out many of these seasons here. I have season 2 through 6. I would want to make sure that I had some of those fully fleshed out so that I knew exactly what the climax was and what was building up to it so that I could allude to some of that mystery and intrigue of season 2. Now, it also gives me storytelling enhancements. It's telling me about the pacing, the cliffhangers, the character development, expanding the tropes and themes, the season arcs, detailed episodes for the different seasons or for season 1. And the reason why I like this is because it gives me a framework to look at when I want to work with my serialized platform bodies, because those bodies of work are written different than my normal ebooks or print books for, say, Amazon or iBooks, or even for Google Play or some of the other ebook platforms. A serialized body, think of it as a soap that you might watch on television, like Days of Our Lives, or I know that there's many of them. I really don't watch those much. My mother used to watch Days of Our Lives all the time. So that's the first one that comes to mind. But think of your serialized bodies as soap operas that continue year over year, season over season. That's what your serialized body is. So now that we have actually done this in 3.5, let me scroll back up to the top to show you. So as you can see up here, we are in 3.5. Next, I want to go ahead and create a new one. And let's do the same thing in GPT-4 and see what that gives us. Again, I'm going to scroll up to the top. It's the same information that I had prior that I said to please generate it in non-JSON format. So let's see what 4 gives us versus what 3.5 gave us. So again, you can see that it's giving us much of the same information. Heartstrings of Gold. I have a series name. It gave me the genre, which is romance. Subgenre it gave me was high society drama. It gives me the same general information that 3.5 gave me. Now, it might give you a little bit more information in 4, but I actually think 3.5 did a really good job with this prompt. I was impressed. So again, we have our hook, we have the setting, we have the world building, the tone and the mood, we have the meet cute. Now, any of these areas that are generated, if there's something that you don't like, maybe you want the tone to be darker, gritty, edgy, you could actually prompt ChatGPT to add that element into your synopsis and then regenerate it. We have our first plot point, we have character arcs, we have relationship dynamics, goals. So any of these items, if you want to drill into them more, you can actually do that. And again, if you want to change something, you can do that. Like say here on the meet cute, while trying to find the exit, Lily stumbles into a private room and accidentally starts playing with an incredibly rare violin. Maxwell hears her playing the melody and is entranced. Now, what if I don't want her playing a violin? What if I want it to be a viola or a flute? Or maybe it's even an old grand piano or something. I can make that call as the author. I can change any of these elements. And all I would have to do is go down to the send a message and just ask the AI to either remove stuff or add an additional thread. So moving on, we have our strengths and weaknesses for our characters. So the protagonist's strengths are a musical genius, kind-hearted and weak. She is prone to trusting too easy. So that is our female character. Our love interest is actually the antagonist in this story. He's charismatic, resourceful, but his weakness is distrusting. So where she trusts everybody, does not find that it's easy to trust somebody because he's emotionally guarded. So those two contrasts are pretty good when you're working with a billionaire romance. Backstories, we have midpoints, pitch points, third plot point. Now, if I were to take this forward on my backstories, I would definitely flesh those out and learn more about those. So each one of these bulleted areas, you could start asking ChatGPT additional questions about her small town that she grew up in, how music was her only escape. What was she escaping? Maxwell's burdened by the weight of family expectations. What are those expectations? And he had to grow up quickly after his parents' demise. Well, how does the death of his parents impact him? And what type of expectation is he putting on himself? Now, moving on to the midpoint, we see that there's a little bit of information here about them growing closer, trying to learn to trust in their relationship. We have pitch points. Basically, as you can see, we have everything that 3.5 was giving us. 4 is giving us 2. 4 gave us the tropes, gave us 10 tropes, gave us, 15 themes. So I believe we have more themes than what we had in 3.5, which is interesting. Now, we do have the additional seasons, just like 3.5 gave us. We also have the storytelling enhancements. So again, it gave us the same general information that I found in 3.5. So I found that highly helpful. So let's go ahead and take a look at Claude and see what Claude does with the same exact prompt. If you haven't used Claude before, I highly recommend using him. Now, in the beginning, I found it hard to use JSON prompts with him, but I'd say I've only been using Claude maybe a little over 3 weeks now. And when I first started, I had a hard time with the JSON inside of Claude, but now he seems to do generally fine with it. So let's go ahead and hit generate. Here also you see that Claude is giving us the information that we requested. We have the Billionaire Secret Love, Willow Creek romance series. If you are new to AI writing, you will soon learn that Willow or Willow Creek or any form of Willow comes up in your content quite frequently. The AI seems to love Willow. Our genre is contemporary millionaire romance. It does give us the season 1 synopsis, just like I had inside of ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. Again, we do have the hook, we have the setting, the world building, the tone, the little meet cute where Nora shows up to their auction date in paint splattered clothing, unlike the glamorous socialites. So I'm curious as to why she is a painter here. And it seems that all of the AIs are making her a painter. So that's kind of interesting. We have our first plot point, we have character arcs, we have relationship dynamics, and we do have goals and motivations, and it lists the goals for Nora and for Damien. It lists all the same information as you're going down the strengths, the weaknesses, the backstories, the midpoint. From what I recall of 3.5 or 4 within ChatGPT, I feel like the strengths and weaknesses and the backstories were maybe a little bit meatier when inside of ChatGPT 4. But that doesn't mean that you can't ask Claude to flesh any of this content out. But as you can see, Claude followed the same content. We have our pitch points, we have our conflict resolution, we have the climax, the closing image, we have a listing of the symbolism and motifs, the subplot. We also have the foreshadowing, red herrings. So it gave us a lot of information. We also have our tropes and themes. Instead of giving us a bulleted or numbered list, it just kind of lists them all in a string and paragraph form, but they are still there. When looking at the additional seasons, it gave us seasons 2 through 6, just like ChatGPT 3 and 3.5 and 4 gave us. We have our storytelling enhancements, showing the pacing, the cliffhangers, the character depth, and the expanded tropes and themes. We also have episode breakdown. So again, I was able to successfully take this prompt from ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 straight into Claude. I was really curious to find out exactly what Sudowrite would give me. So I also played around inside of Sudowrite. Now, I did find that I can actually put the prompt here inside of Story Engine, inside of the brain dump. So I just pasted that whole prompt in there. It is 500 words inside of my brain dump. Now, when I hit generate, it gives me the information that I requested, just like what you saw inside of ChatGPT and Claude. The only issue that I had is that it did not finish the generation the way that I wanted it to. So it gave me everything identical to the other 2 platforms, right down to the tropes, the themes. But whenever I got down to the additional seasons, because it only gave me the 775 out of 800 words. Often when I tried to prompt in the rewrite synopsis for it to continue and give me the rest of the content, it often failed to give me the rest of my content, which was kind of disappointing because I would have liked to have been able to do the whole thing in the synopsis, but the synopsis for this prompt inside a Story Engine is just not long enough. So one of the other things that I did was that I thought, okay, well, I've had some success in the past. So I came over to the outline section. And here I just said romance outline. And then I went ahead and plugged in my prompt. into the revise or rewrite section of the outline. And let's see what that will give us, because we have up to 1,700 words in this card. So as you can see, inside of the outline, I was able to get Sudowrite Story Engine to give me the same information. So if you have a really long brain dump and you want to be able to flesh it out a little bit more inside of story engines, what you can do is go ahead and use this card. I use it for things that are not even remotely related to the outline. Now, when I'm done here, I can take elements of this and then I can move it over into, say, my synopsis, and then I can continue the process, because some of this is information that I will not need whenever I move it over into my synopsis. Now, I could take all this information, as long as it is under 2,000 words, I could put all of this into my brain dump and I could generate a synopsis straight off of this if I wanted to, or I could keep my season 1 synopsis as is and just put the information from underneath the season 1 synopsis all the way up to the additional seasons. I can move all that over into my card for synopsis. So right now we are at 650 words. So let's see what we have at this point. We have all the other areas that we've been able to get inside of ChatGPT and Claude, right down to our tropes. It gave us 10 tropes in paragraph form. It gave us our themes. We have our additional seasons 2 through 6. We have our storytelling enhancements, and we have our season arcs, and we have the detailed episode little listing. So everything that I got from Chat and Claude, I was able to do in Story Engine as well. I just thought that that was a really cool little, hack within the system. I have one last platform to show you. If you are not familiar with Jasper, Jasper is kind of that silent AI that you heard a whole lot about in the very beginning, but you don't really hear a lot about Jasper from the novel writing section. And I really hope to change that, because Jasper has really moved forward. A lot of people use Jasper for, say, blogging, writing articles, writing copy ad. I actually like to use Jasper for evaluations, especially with scripts and books. I can plug in a whole manuscript in here that is inside of a Word document, plug it in, and it will actually give me feedback as long as I prompt it with evaluation questions. Now, I'm not sure when this change happened, because I hadn't been inside of Jasper, I guess, for more than a month, but I noticed that the section within the body seems to look very reminiscent of Notion. So I know that they've done some upgrade here. I played around with putting blocks of information here within the body, but it still gave me a very limited word response flow. So I wasn't happy with only having, say, 100 words or 250 words, because I kept having to prompt Jasper to give me more information or to continue. Well, once I click that little plus button, let me show you that again. Hover over the plus, click it, and it asks you to tell Jasper what to write. So here, all I did was paste my prompt, the same exact prompt that we had been playing with. And as you notice, if you were a Jasper user, you don't have anything down here at the bottom that says to write the prose and it telling you, do you want a long response, a medium response, or a short response? You don't have that anymore. But what you do have is this nifty little send to Jasper little enter icon. Press that, and yeah, it starts giving you the same exact information. It gives you the Billionaire's Forbidden Love. It will give me the serial name. It's going to give me the genre. Now, Jasper is moving extremely slow right now, so hopefully Jasper will finish. But as you can see, it is beginning to give me the same information that I got inside of Chat, Claude, and Story Engine. If there are other learning language models that you would like to play with this prompt in, and you go in to take a look at how it works in those, drop me a comment under the video section, because I would love to know what your experience was if you use a different language model than what I have used today. I know there are so many out there, And I feel like I've only touched the tip of the iceberg when it comes to playing with different AI models. So if you use something that you've not seen me play around inside of, please, please, please let me know which one it is. I would love to do some testing in some new ones. I may not be able to do it right away, but I really do enjoy looking at how the different platforms generate content. Okay, so we have a little bit more information in here. Just like the other platforms, I have the hook, the setting, the world building, I have the tone. I even have the meet cute, which is the two meet at a charity auction where our protagonist, out of her depth, actually places a winning bid that she cannot afford. So that could be potentially funny. We have a first plot point. We have character arcs. We have relationship dynamics. Now, it did not give me the goals and motivations. Oh, yes, it did. So under goal and motivation, we have the protagonist goal and we have the antagonist / love interest goals. So that just kind of was a little wonky on my eyes at first. Strengths and weaknesses. We have the protagonist, the love interest. We also have backstories. We have the midpoint, the pitch points. We have the third plot point. So as you see, Jasper is still continuing to give me this information. Now, if you are a Jasper user, you'll understand my excitement when I say, oh my God, this is really awesome for Jasper because I can finally bring my own template in and tell Jasper exactly what it is that I want. And I've been playing around with other prompts in the 4 different AIs that I'm playing with right now in this video. And I was amazed to find that I could actually use this step 1 and then go through step 1 through step 6 of all of my other prompts, which I really, really want to show you. But because they are so early and I just created them last night, I want to do a little bit more testing on steps 2 through 6 before I venture into doing videos on those, along with step 7, which is prose generation. But again, this is specifically for serialized bodies. And as you see, we are beginning to get the additional seasons. We have season 2, the protagonist's company faces a new threat from an international competitor, complicating her relationship with the billionaire. So one of the things that I find with my serialized platform, those bodies housed there, is that because you're using the same characters time and time again, you need to think ahead to know exactly how your seasons are going to flow, because you need to start planting some of those little Easter eggs or that foreshadowing of what is to come. Because unlike a typical book that you might publish on Amazon or Apple or Google or even Barnes and Noble, Kobo, all of those have a general ending, even if it is part of a book series or trilogy. Each one of those books generally has a solid ending, but then they'll have an arc for the series. When you are looking at your serialized platform, those bodies, again, treat them more like a soap opera that is just going to keep going forward year over year. You want to treat each episode similar to what you would see in a television series, or at least that's the process that works for me. So now that we have already generated all the way through season 6, it gives me the ability, if I want to keep writing this project, I could come back in and ask for additional seasons. Now, it is beginning to give me the storytelling enhancements, the pacing, the cliffhangers. We want the episodes to end with unexpected reveals or a shift in personal or business dynamics. We need those cliffhangers because that's what's going to keep the reader wanting to know, ooh, what happens next? If you have a favorite television show and right before a commercial hits or right when the episode ends and you're like, no, it gives you that cliffhanger that you need to know what happens next. I don't know if any of y'all watch Game of Thrones, but man, when I watched The Red Wedding, my mouth hit the floor and I needed to know what happened next. And I was just chomping at the bit trying to figure out what was going to happen next. I scoured the internet looking to see if there was any leaked information. So yeah, it was pretty exciting. And that's what you want your readers to experience. So in a serialized platform, it is all about keeping your reader engaged and wanting to read that next installment or episode. Now, you hear me talking about episode, which if you are comparing a normal fictionalized body, a novel or novella, to a serialized platform, that episode is kind of equates to a chapter or a scene. And you'll find that your serialized bodies have more episodes across the season. Well, as the pages of our episode come to a close, I hope the allure of AI-driven tales has enchanted you. For those eager to wield the billionaire romance serialized platform prompt for this type of framework, seek it out in the realm of our description or comment sanctuary below. The journey doesn't end here. To you who seek fellowship and deeper knowledge, venture into our AI Writers Connection Discord haven. Its portal can be found in the scrolls of the description below. Please, as a token of our shared quest, bestow upon us your likes. Stay joined by subscribing and keep the bells chime alive with notifications. Until our paths cross again in tales and legends, keep the fires of creation burning. This is Marigold from the AI Writers Connection, bidding you adieu and happy writing.